So it's a double parsha, Acharei Keshoshim, and everything is in the Jewish name. It says Keshoshim is one of those special parshas that has many mitzvot in this parsha, and many fundamental mitzvot, like love your fellow Jew like yourself, and the Moshe gathered the entire Jewish people. Very few times in the Torah that Moshe gathered the entire Jewish people because it was so essential to clarify many of the mitzvot that were given. There shouldn't be any errors, any misunderstanding. So Moshe clarifies many of the mitzvot, so it was important to gather everyone together. And the opening statement, before he gets into the mitzvot, he starts out, Kedoshim Tiyu. You are holy, Ki Kadosh Ani. He's quoting Hashem. Hashem is telling the Jewish people, you're holy because I am holy. And that's such a wonderful approach, a wonderful introduction and premise and assumption to educate. When you educate children, when you're educating yourself, you're making a lot of demands on yourself. You know, to be moral, to be ethical, to be spiritual, to do the right thing. It's tough. It's a tough call. It's not always easy. It's not always convenient. It's very demanding. It takes a lot of sacrifice. But so there are two approaches to life in general, and two approaches. How do you approach yourself? How do you approach others? One approach is you can take a very negative approach, a very dark approach. You know, emphasize, highlight the darkness of human nature, the foolishness of human nature, that's being kind, the selfishness, and all the negative of human nature. And you can try to beat yourself into submission, force yourself to do the right thing. But then there's a whole different approach, a much more pleasant approach, a much more beautiful approach, a much more uplifting approach. The premise is, Kedoshim Tiyu, you're holy. If you're holy, because I am holy, Hashem says, and you have a piece of me inside of you. And that is located at the very core and center of your being. That's who you really are. That's your true self. It's a difference between the id versus the yid. The id says that, Freud says that the essence of a person is you're a beast, you're an animal, that's your essence. We try to butter it up, we try to cover it up with niceties, civilizations, being civilized, but if you dig, you don't have to dig too deep. Beneath the surface, you'll discover the id. The Torah looks at the same person, and the Torah says, no. Yes, if you look beneath the surface, yes, sometimes you have to dig a little deeper, but you'll always find the yid. You'll always find that spark of godliness, that essence of godliness. And if you realize that you have something so precious, you want to preserve it. You want to keep it intact. You're motivated, you're more likely to keep it intact. You know, you walk down the street, and you remember when New York looked like in the 70s and the 80s? The joke was that New York was like Calcutta without the cows, you know, with graffiti all over the place. You know, you were tempted to add to it. You know, why not? You walk into a dump, a garbage dump, you feel like adding to the dump. But you walk into a palace, and if you see something on the floor, you're tempted to bend down and pick it up. It's not your palace, but it offends you. Someplace so beautiful, something so beautiful. What's this garbage doing on the floor? You want to pick it up. You want to preserve it. So if you look at yourself, at human nature, as being harsh and nasty, then you're more likely to live up to that expectation. But if you realize, Kedoshim Tiyu, you're holy, we have something so precious and something so special inside of us, then you want to act holy. You want to act in a way that's consistent with that nature. So you're more likely, you're more tempted and motivated to act that way. You have to take time to realize and to aware and to remind yourself and refresh your memory. Kedoshim Tiyu. That has to be the premise. That has to be the underlying assumption. That has to be the cornerstone, your whole approach to life and to yourself. Because we are our own worst critics. If we took a tape of how we speak to ourselves, we wouldn't speak to our worst enemy the way we speak sometimes to ourselves. We are nasty, we are harsh, we're unforgiving, we're brutal, merciless. We try to beat ourselves into submission. How could you do this? And you start berating yourself. You know, it's a temporary solution. It could work in the short term. You could beat yourself into submission, but it's joyless, it's lifeless, you resent it, your defenses go up, and the first opportunity you're going to go against it. It's like you're whipping yourself into shape. No, you can whip a child into shape. It's very easy. You can beat them into submission, whip them into shape. That used to be the modus operandi in the 19th century. Pull them by the ear, hit them, and whip them. You know, it works temporarily, but it's not real. As they say, that a whipping, if you hurt someone, if you hit someone, if you slap someone, it doesn't last too long. But if you insult them, words are much more powerful. So if you try to whip yourself into shape, it's very temporary. But if someone tells you a kind word, and someone says something encouraging, inspiring, those words can last a lifetime. We're all fortunate, if we were lucky, we have at least one teacher that's memorable, one teacher that left an impression on us. And they didn't have to whip us, beat us into shape, but their words, they said things, and they really touched us, they really reached us. And till today, it remains with us. So before you start educating yourselves, before you start educating others, before you start educating your children, the premise has to be Keshoshim. You have to tell your child that you are a child of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. You're a daughter of Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. You are royalty. You are a prince and you are a princess. And therefore, you want to behave a certain way. You want to carry yourself a certain way. You're not trash. You tell a child to be modest, because you ever saw royalty walk around like trash? If you're royalty, you carry yourself with a certain dignity. If you value yourself, if you really have real value, if you have real value and dignity, and your body has real value and dignity, you're going to carry yourself a certain way. The Torah says you're dignified. You're not allowed to tattoo yourself. You're not allowed to. Why are you mutilating yourself? If you're holy, and your being is holy, and you're a holy temple, your body is a holy temple to a holy soul, why would you mutilate that? You want to carry yourself with modesty, with dignity, with self-respect, because it's something special. If you're gold and your diamonds and your pearls, you protect it, you preserve it, you cover it up. It's not just open and revealed for anyone and everyone to see and to ogle on. There's an inner sense of modesty, because an inner sense of preciousness, inner sense of dignity. So when you approach a child that way and you say you're special, you have something special inside of you. You're part of Hashem's chosen people. You have a marriage, a relationship with Hashem. You're connected with Hashem. You're royalty. And that's why we behave a certain way, and that's why we eat certain things, and we can't eat everything, because we're royalty. There's certain things that are just not fit for us. There's certain behaviors that just, as they say in Yiddish, is pasnish. It's not befitting for you. Maybe for other people it's not a problem, but for you, with your heritage and where you come from and who you are, you just have to carry yourself in a different way. It's not befitting for you to speak like this, or to behave like this, or to carry on like this. So if that's the premise, if that's the approach, then you elevate the child. And just like we educate our children, education never ends. We have to educate ourselves. We have to constantly educate ourselves and constantly make ourselves aware. But that premise has to be very loving, very gentle. And that in general was the Hasidic approach, the whole revolution of Hasidus versus Musar. Musar was very harsh. Thunder and lightning. It was fire and brimstone. You know, the Maggid used to lay it on thick. If you do this, you're going to go to hell. And if you and paint a picture of the negative and the consequences of negative behaviors. And then the Baal Shem Tov came along, and the whole Hasidic approach was the exact opposite. Very loving, very gentle. Elevate the Jew and elevate the community and teach them to appreciate how special they are. They are a part of Hashem's chosen people. They have a piece of literally a piece of the divine essence, as Alter Rebbe says in the second chapter of the Tanya. That's who we are. And therefore, we're more likely to live up to it. You know, you tell a child you're nasty, and the only time the child hears from you is when you catch them doing something wrong. And you slap them, or you punish them, or you yell at them, or you rebuke them. You know, the child will get into his head and will live up to that expectation. The child do something right, and you use every opportunity to highlight that you're special, you're not in the foolish way. Many people who think positive is in the foolish way, that no matter what you do, everything is special. You got a 50 on your test, oh, it's wonderful. No, that's not wonderful. You didn't try, no effort. Oh, but it's wonderful, I want everyone to get an A. You know, that's foolish, that's counterproductive. You're not expecting anything of the child, you're not demanding anything of the child. Judaism is very demanding. The Torah is very demanding. The Torah expects a lot from us. The Torah is very pushy. But the premise is, yes, I'm pushing you and I'm expecting a lot from you, but the reason I'm pushing and I'm expecting a lot from you is because I know you can do it because you're Kedoshim, because you're holy. So it's demanding. It's not just, no matter what happens, you're special and everything is good and we have no expectations of you. That's very insulting, man. And that could backfire. No, we're talking about education. Moshe was about to educate them and to inform them and teach them many, many mitzvot, many, many obligations. But the premise is, the starting line is Kedoshim to you, you're holy. And that's why we have all these expectations of it. Because we know you can do it, Kedoshim. And we know that you want to do it, because you're holy. When you know that you're holy, you want to live a holy life. You want to live up to all these expectations. And it was the Alter Rebbe, being Rebbe for many years, the Hasidim once gave him a gift. They gave him a snuff box. Remember Shmektavak? You ever heard the expression Shmektavak? On Yom Kippur, they used to go around smelling the smelling salts. Many shuls, when the rabbi spoke, the Gabbai would go around with the smelling salts to wake people up. So they gave him a beautiful, beautiful silver, very expensive. The Hasidim gathered some money together to show their love and appreciation of the Rebbe, of everything that he does for them. So they gave him a gift, Shmek Tabak. And Alter Rebbe said, there's one organ in the body that doesn't crave, that doesn't lust material things, and that's the nose. So you want to give me something also that I should crave for these material things. So he did not use it as a snuff box. They were telling this to the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Lubavitcher Rebbe. So they told him that Alter Rebbe broke off the cover of the snuff box, and he used it as a mirror to watch his tefillin. That when he wore tefillin, he should make sure the tefillin, the Rashi's tefillin has to be centered, right between the nose. So he would use it as a mirror, because when he davened, he was a mystic par excellence, and he would roll on the floor sometimes and bang his head on the wall, and the tefillin would be all over the place. So he used the cover of snuff box as a mirror. When they related the story to the third Lubavitcher Rebbe, and they said that Alter Rebbe broke broke off the cover of the box. The Tzemach says, no, impossible. My Zayde, the Alter Rebbe, my grandfather, didn't break anything. His whole essence was not breaking. Surely there must have been a pin that connected the cover to the box, and he removed the pin. Because that's the essence of Chassidus. The essence of Chassidus is to lift you up. Make us aware, remind us, refresh our memory, and to make us meditate and reflect on that we are at the core core and essence, we have a piece of the divine essence. We are godly. This is who we truly are. We are royalty. And therefore we want to act and think and speak in a royal, in a dignified way and appropriate. So yes, it's very demanding, but it's different. My brother-in-law, Rabbi Gordon, he is the, Rabbi Rifkin, he is the Chabad on Tulane University, and my sister. So his grandfather, Rabbi Gordon, was one of the first shluchim. He was like a rabbi in Newark, New Jersey. And he once came to the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe in the 1940s, and he said, I'm trying to rebuke my community, but they're not listening, they're not paying attention. You know, this is in the early 40s in America, everyone was busy melting in the melting pot, and he felt he wasn't getting anywhere. He was trying to elevate his community, and he wasn't getting anywhere. So the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe asked him, he says, tell me, have you ever been to a Turkish bath? He was a little surprised. The Rebbe's asking about a Turkish bath. He says, no. The Rebbe says, let me explain to you. A Turkish bath was like a sauna. It was in the attic. So you climb up to the attic, and the attendant sits there with a special broom. I don't know what it's called. There's a name for it. And you know, it's a sauna, and he pours some hot water on you, and he hits you. He hits you with this like broom like. He says, imagine you're walking down the street, and someone starts hitting you with a broom in the middle of the street. You would have him arrested. But when you elevate someone, and you warm him up, and then you hit him, he pays you and he asks for more. So he says, Chassidus, when you elevate him, and then you warm him up, and then you give Mussar, then you make demands. Torah is very demanding. Torah expects a lot from us. But then we receive it, we accept it, we pay for it, and we ask for more. So it's like a difference between, conventional medicine versus alternative medicine. Two different approaches. One approach is you attack the sickness, you attack the illness, and really, in a sense, you're just dealing with the symptoms. It's not curing the illness; it's just alleviating the symptoms and allowing the body to cure itself. That's really what the doctors do. They really, through the drugs and through you try to stop the illness long enough to give the body enough strength to fight back, and it could heal itself. It's not that's dealing with the symptoms. It's external, and your whole focus is on the illness, on the pathology. Versus the alternative approach is that you focus on the healthy part of the person. A person has an infinite capacity for health. Because we're created by Hashem, we have this miraculous, almost infinite capacity to restore our health. We fast on Yom Kippur, we have a dry fast, 24 hours. You know that medically, fasting, a dry fast, 24, 26 hours, creates a miraculous healing in the body. Miraculous, dramatic transformation. Or if a person has a liquid fast, it's a 3-day fast. The body is built for health. The moment we give it the space to heal, the body, the health comes roaring back so quickly and so powerful. Because we are programmed for health. There's such infinite capacity. Hashem gave us such infinite capacity for health, where each one of us is 37 trillion cells. And every cell is wondrous and miraculous. And so Hashem built us for health. And the alternative approach is to focus, when a person has illness, to focus on the healthy part of the person, to strengthen the healthy part of the person till it becomes so overwhelmed with health. Illness just melts away. There's no blood body with so much health, and that there's no room for illness. And the difference in these two approaches is, one, you're dealing with the symptoms. Here, you're getting at the root causes. I'm not just attacking the problem, the symptom of the problem. I'm addressing the root cause from within. I'm strengthening the health. The organism should be so vibrant and so robustly healthy that there's no room for illness. Like when you flood the room with light, there's no room for darkness. And also, it's much more enjoyable because my focus is on the health. I'm eating healthy. I'm changing my whole eating lifestyle. I'm exercising. It changes my whole attitude, which plays a key and essential role even in our physical health. There are two people that have the same symptoms, and one person is healed and the other person not. Attitude is an essential ingredient in even a person's physical healing. So much so that science studied this. It's called the placebo effect. And they did a study where they gave people a placebo. They thought they were taking the medicine, and really they gave them a placebo, and it worked just as well as the medicine. So much so that scientists were debating, why don't we just give everyone placebos? Let them think we're giving them the medicine. Let's just give them a placebo, because medicine, even the best medicine in the world, it's poison. And there are side effects, very, very dangerous side effects. So even in the best case scenario. But if placebo is just as effective, why don't you just give them a placebo so you know there's no negative side effects and you just have the benefit? It was a real serious discussion. So your attitude is an essential ingredient in your healing. So if the focus is on the positive, that I'm strengthening the healthy part of the person, and I'm going to flood my body with so much health. And if it means I'm going to have to change my lifestyle and start eating healthy and start exercising and change my attitude to have a positive attitude and a loving attitude and a joyful attitude, which is really, as the Zohar says, all illnesses is really, most of it is psychosomatic. It's really originates in our emotional illness and not well-being. That's the root cause of most of our physical illnesses. So if you can address the root cause and really transform from within, create a robust and healthy inner psychological and spiritual and physical life and lifestyle, it's a much better way to attack the problem, to approach the whole issue. And it's much more pleasant because you're dealing with health, you're dealing with goodness, versus when you're dealing with a pathology and you're dealing with the negativity. Many people just die in the hospital just from that setting, because the setting is a setting that's focused on pathology and illness. As in Hebrew, it's called Beit HaCholim, the house of the sick. So you have, so too, whatever is you find in the physical world, so too in the spiritual world. You have one approach of Musar. You focus on human pathology, which is pretty, and the human nature, which is pretty pathetic. The selfishness, the pettiness, the hypocrisy, the superficiality, the harshness, the evil. We don't even realize we say things to people, and we don't even realize how we hurt them, how hurtful it is, because we're too busy focusing on ourselves, and we don't even realize, we're not even paying attention how harmful, how hurtful what we say and what we do, and careless. So you can focus on that. And there's a whole school that focuses on that. It's called Musar. But that can become very depressing. And you're focusing on the pathology. So yes, it may get you to change because you realize and you are horrified at how petty we can be, and therefore you want to change your nature. You want to become a better person. So it is one approach. It's an approach, but it's not the most pleasant approach. It gets the job done. You know, when a person takes his drugs and you do your chemotherapy, yes, it gets the job done. It can kill the cancer. It may kill half of you, half of the rest of you also. But it's like a sledgehammer. It's very harsh. It burns. It's painful. It's poison. It gets the job done. It's like a difference between clean energy and dirty energy. Dirty energy gets the job done, but it's dirty. It gives off a foul smell and pollution, and it leads to other problems. Then you have clean energy, a whole different approach, much more gentle approach. And that's the approach of the Hasidic. And that's really what this week's Torah portion is teaching us. And that's the name of the Torah portion, Kedosh, you are holy. That has to be our assumption. That should be our whole approach to life. Very gentle, very loving approach, but very effective, very powerful. Because like a laser, you're focusing and making yourself aware and truly become aware and truly feel it and experience the godliness that's located deep down inside of us, that's located at the very center and core and essence of our being. That's who we really are. And the more you're conscious of it, and the more you feel it, and the more you experience it, and the more you tap into it, and the more you touch it, then you're more likely to expand and to be open. You know, it's like the famous contest between the wind and the sun. Who can make a person undress? So the wind started howling, and the more the wind howled, the person put on his jacket, his sweater, and his jacket, and his coat, and he's bundling himself up. And the wind gives up, and then the sun comes out, and it's warm, and he starts taking off his outer coat, and then, so with warmth and with love and with the sun, you can accomplish so much more. A person can change. When you experience genuine joy, you can achieve a lot more change than you could through tears, through genuine tears. Joy has that nature. Joy is expansive. It opens you up. It expands the horizon. So too, we are living, that's the times that we are living in. You know, in the times when Jews lived in Russia and Jews lived in the shtetl and they were oppressed and the whole world lived in miserable poverty. It was not expansive. It was very, as they say in Yiddish, verquetscht. And it also affected you psychologically. You lived very like hunkered down and defensive. And today, thank God, we live in an open society. We live in the sun is shining. A wealthy society. So it also could expand our mind. We can approach our Yiddishkeit from a point of view of joy. And we can relish our Yiddishkeit, and we can enjoy our Yiddishkeit and expansively. And our whole approach is positive. And today, almost everyone adopted the Baal Shem Tov's approach because we see in the test of time that it works. The whole Baal Tshuva movement was successful only with this approach of love and gentleness and kindness and welcoming everyone and making everyone feel at home, making everyone feel comfortable, while at the same time being very demanding, without dumbing down standards or without compromising on our standards and our Yiddishkeit. That in order to sell Yiddishkeit, you have to cut corners and you have to compromise. No, that's insulting, and we're telling the truth. Torah is very demanding. Judaism is very demanding. But the approaches, the foundation, and the introduction is Kedoshim Tihyu. Chabad house. Everyone it's a home. Everyone feels welcome. Everyone feels comfortable. You're at home. You're Jewish. You're at home. It's yours. It doesn't matter what level you're at, where you're at. Come home. It's your home. Feel at home. No labels. No judgmentalism. And we look at every Jew as holy. But I'm not religious, I'm not Orthodox. A Jew is a Jew is a Jew. You're holy, you're just as holy as any other Jew. You have that holiness, you have that piece of the divine essence. That's why in this week's Parsha, the Torah says, love your fellow Jew literally like you love yourself. Because we love the Jew within each and every Jew. Every Jew has the Jew within them, that piece of that divine essence. So it's a very loving approach, without compromising on truth. Many people confuse love. If I love someone, that means I have to lie and start cutting the Torah and compromising on the Torah, because if I love them, I have to love everything. No. Truth is truth, and Torah is Torah, and there's 613 mitzvah, and there's certain truth that you can't compromise. But the whole approach is, why is Torah so demanding? Why does Torah expect so much of us? Because you could do it, because Keshoshim, you're holy. You're royalty. You can do it. You want to do it. We want to do it. We want to live up to that potential. But it's something we need to remind ourselves. Not only love your fellow Jew like yourself, you also have to love ourselves. You have to remember why. We have to focus like a laser, concentrate, and remind ourselves each and every day that Hashem has chosen us. We are part of Hashem's chosen people. There are close to 8 billion people in this world, and there are only 14 billion Jews. Hashem chose each and every one of us out of 8 billion people. We are His people. Hashem says, you are mine, and you're mine. I am yours, and you are mine. I am the God of Israel, and you are mine. Only a Jew can say, Hashem Elokeinu. Angels don't say Elokeinu, my God. No one can say my God. The only one who can say Elokeinu is Shema Yisrael. Only a Jew can say Elokeinu. Hashem says, I am yours and you're mine. We have to remind ourselves. We have to refresh our memory. Bring it to the fore, bring it to our consciousness. And the more we bring it to the consciousness, this will motivate us. This will elevate us. This will warm us up, inspire us to live up to the very high expectations that Hashem has of His chosen people. Because He gave us all the strength that we need. And we have what it takes. We're proud. We are holy. We're going to act holy. And we see the holiness in each and every Jew. You know, this non-Jewish professor once asked his Jewish rabbi, colleague, friend, he says, please define for me what is a Jew. And then the non-Jew says, I'll tell you what a Jew is. A Jew is someone who's holy, and he doesn't even know it. He doesn't even know that he's holy, but he's holy. That's the essence of a Jew. You are holy. You will be holy because you are holy, whether you know it or not, whether you're aware of it or not. Most Jews today, due to no fault of their own, may not be aware of it. But it doesn't change the reality. It doesn't change the fact. Every single Jew, that includes every one of us, Hashem says, you will be holy because you are holy. Inevitably, everyone will live up to Hashem's expectations. And Hashem bless each and every one of us that we should all be safe, our family should be safe and healthy, and may we make ourselves proud and make everyone, make the entire Jewish people proud. And if anyone has any comments or thoughts, please feel free to share. Sergio?
No, yeah, this is very interesting. It's a heritage that I guess many of the 14 million people at best take for granted, and many don't even recognize it. But why do you think that is? Why do you think that's such a gift? And there's so, I mean, and I remember when I was young, I went to Israel, and now I don't know how it is, the situation there, but every store you go in is an argument, is a story about a sleeping bag. They gave me a bad bag. And then I went to another place to buy a backpack. It was another story. I mean, little things here, little things there, but for us, with this kind of heritage, with this kind of, I mean, there's not even an adjective for the holy is the best we can say, but it's more than that. Why is it, do you think, that, I mean, as you said, the Baal Tshuva movement is a result of that. I based on my modest observation, I think it's completely true. But I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of work to do. I don't know. I feel that there's a big responsibility on all of us, but I sometimes get disappointed. I'm not going to deny to you, This is my comment,
Well, the answer, it's a very good question. And the answer is, Chabad. Chabad is an acronym for 3 Hebrew words. Chachma, Bina, Das. Wisdom, understanding, knowledge. In other words, education, education, education. Every Jew is a billionaire. But if you're not educated, that billionaire who never learned how to write a withdrawal slip and can't access his wealth, that billionaire could be walking around in rags, homeless, and dying from hunger. Every Jew is a billionaire. But without education, you can't access it. Most Jews today, due to no fault of their own, they never received a Jewish education. They were never taught. And unfortunately, many Jews who were taught, it was more in the school of Musar, very harsh and very, without the understanding and the love and the connection which you only get from studying the Tanya and studying Chassidut and studying the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov and truly understanding it. Without that education, how are you supposed to access all of that? You're not even aware of it. So all begins with education. And the good news is that ignorance is something you could do. You could do something about ignorance. You can educate, which is why the Rabbi started the largest educational project in Jewish history. 5,000 Chabad houses, literally. A place where every Jew in their community could feel at home, could access their wealth, whether it's through dancing in the streets of Simchas Torah, lighting the menorah in public, or through the many, many different various activities, trying to reach another Jew and another Jew and another Jew, and communicating and publicizing and teaching and making all these Jewish experiences available and accessible. So we have full confidence that if a Jew will taste and experience, that will awaken that Jewish neshama. The neshama is there. And many Jews are waiting for an invitation. You know how many Jews are just waiting for an invitation? What took you so long to invite me for Friday night dinner? I was your tennis partner for 20 years. Why didn't you think I would be interested? I didn't look the part. I was waiting. I'm just waiting for that invitation. How many millions of Jews out there are just waiting for that invitation? Just to taste, just to experience a Shabbos, a Jewish Torah lecture or something, a mitzvah. So we can't give up on any Jew. We have to realize that we've been in exile for 1950 years, and that takes a toll. It takes a very big toll. We've been beaten, and what do you expect? Many Jews have been cut off from a Jewish education for over 3 generations. They never saw, they don't even have memories of a Bubby, a Zaidi, a grandparent, a grandfather, a grandmother. A generation ago, people had memories. They grew up with their Bubby who spoke Yiddish, who lit the Shabbos candles, with their Zaidi, went to shul. Today's kids, they don't even have any of those memories. So what do you expect? You can't really blame them. They don't know any better. So maybe it's up to us, those who are fortunate, those who did get a taste. And we do relish and cherish our Yiddishkeit. It's up to us to communicate, publicize, reach out to one other Jew. Come with me to this beautiful experience. Come, you'll enjoy it. And their neshama will light up. So we can't give up on any Jew, and we have to have confidence. It's there. It's like a wellspring. If you dig, you're going to find well water. Sometimes you have to dig a little harder. Sometimes you have to dig a little deeper. The wellspring is there. Sometimes you got to dig very, very deep. And sometimes you got to be innovative. But it's there. The confidence is it's there. Hashem says every Jew is holy. It's a fact. Even the worst Jew, the most self-hating Jew, every Jew is holy. They don't know it. And they're fighting it tooth and nail. But it doesn't change the reality. Reality is that every one of us is holy. And even if we're not acting holy, and we're acting in a way that's the antithesis of it, don't be fooled for a moment. Even the self-hating Jew, most miserable self-hating Jew. Did you ever meet a self-hating Italian? You ever meet a self-hating Irishman? It's only Jews. It's a purely Jewish phenomenon. They're so Jewish. It's enough to make you cry. It's enough to make you laugh. They're trying to bend over, twist themselves into pretzels to prove that they're not Jewish and they're more English than the English or more Goyish than the Goy. And in that effort, they've just proven the point that they're so Jewish. It's such a Jewish thing. So every Jew is holy. Every Jew has that Jewishness. And it's so prominent. Everyone can see it. The only one who doesn't see it is the Jew himself. We're the last ones to see it. We're in denial. The Jews in Germany were more German than the Germans. The only one who didn't see how Jewish they were the Jews themselves. The Germans, even the most assimilated Jew, you're Jewish. Whom are you kidding? Are you kidding me? What are you pretending that you're not Jewish? You are part of. So the confidence is there. Every Jew is holy. Whether they like it or not, whether we like it or not, it's a reality. So sometimes you got to dig deeper. It's there. Never give up. Actually, you agree?
Very much so. Think of all the people in my life that I know at my age from all different, and I'm going to say a lot of them are self-hating Jews, but they just don't know. And it's just a terrible shanda that you try to reach out and they don't accept, and it's very disheartening sometimes.
You don't give up.
No. If you reach out to 10 and you get one, that's good. That's happy.
The whole world. That's a whole world.
Maybe one person. My brother should rest in peace. He used to always helped a lot of people. And I always used to say, he saved so many, my brother, should rest in peace. So you just got to do your best,
Well, if we have a concept of herd mentality, in medicine, surely that same concept works for spiritual. Maybe if you reach 51% of the Jews, where 51% of the Jews start lighting Shabbos candles, 51% of the Jews start putting on tefillin, maybe it'll spread like wildfire, because we're all connected. So we'll reach a critical mass, and then in one moment there'll be an awakening, and every Jew around the world will wake up and say, hey, I'm Jewish. I think I should put on those phylacteries. Every Jewish woman in the world will wake up and say, I'm Jewish. I think I should learn a little Torah. I should eat a little kosher, do a mitzvah. So you never know. When we do a mitzvah, we also affect Jews all over the world because we're all connected. So we can't give up on anyone. And every improvement that we do in our own personal lives also affects every Jew around the world. So if we are strengthening ourselves in our struggles, maybe that's something we'll talk more about in next week's Torah portion, next Thursday night evening. How not to be judgmental about other people. How to truly look at the other person, evaluate yourself and the other person, comparing apples to apples. It's very easy to sit and wag our finger against those self-hating Jews, and look, I'm such a good Jew, and that miserable creature and that horrible human being. But that's not a real way to evaluate people.
I got it.
There's a real way to evaluate, and we'll discuss it next week.
That's going to be a tough discussion. I'm looking forward to it.
So everyone have a beautiful, beautiful Shabbos.
You too.
They say, be well. And Tuesday, we're going to discuss ethics of our fathers. It says, Shuv yom echad l'fnei misasach. You should live every day as if it's your last day of your life, not in a morbid way, but we'll discuss that and elaborate that next week. Have a beautiful, beautiful Shabbos. Great to see you all.
Good
Yeah.
Shabbos.
Next time,
Yeah,
Shabbos.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbos.
Shalom.
Good to see you.
Shabbat shalom, Ariella. Good to hear you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.